Hello students, welcome to this session of Master Mains PYQ. We are back with another video of this unique initiative by NEXT IAS, and so we will be discussing today another question asked in previous years in UPSC mains. So the question that we have selected, I'm sure you have also written the question. So the question that we have selected was asked in CSE 2023 in the GS paper 2 from the polity section, and it is asked around this syllabus area, Indian Constitution and its evolution. So the question was question number 11. The Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for a progressive society. Illustrate with special reference to the expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty. It was a 15 marker, and you have to write this in 250 words, right? So why has UPSC chosen this particular question? So the first thing is to understand the relevance and the rationality of the question. So recently India has celebrated 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and our constitution also has survived more than 70 years, right? So in 1950, when our constitution was implemented, the constitution has survived. And I'll tell you a fun fact. There was a recent study which was named the lifespan of written constitutions, which basically went into what is the average lifespan of all the constitutions across the world from 1789. And you will be surprised to know that the mean lifespan of any constitution is mere 17 years, right? And more than 50%, after 50 years, more than 50% of the constitutions don't survive, right? So Indian constitution has survived more than 70 years. You can look in the surrounding, you can look at Nepal, Sri Lanka, all these countries have had constitutional crisis, right? So the Indian constitution has been able to survive because of the changing, because of the dynamism that is ingrained in it, right? So it can adapt to the changing circumstances in the society. So that is the context of the question, and the question is basically talking about expanding horizons of right to life and personal liberty. So that is basically the demand of the question. Now, if you categorize this question, usually UPSC categorizes, asks three types of question, three categories of questions, I would rather say. So sometimes you'll find a direct question, sometimes you'll find an opinion based question, or a context based question. So this particular question here is a context based question. You can look at the question. There is a context. The Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for a progressive society. So that is the context. And then the question that follows is that you have to illustrate this with the special reference to expanding horizons of right to life and personal liberty. That is Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, right? So this is that we need to do in this particular question. Now, how would you introduce this particular question? That is the second thing. Now, I would suggest that the best and appropriate method to introduce this particular question would be to explain the context. Now, there are certain keywords in the context. You can see living instrument, enormous dynamism, and progressive society. So you can interlink these ideas to create an introduction of your own. So what is a living instrument? Constitution of India is not a static or a rigid document. It is adaptable and flexible to changing times in the society, right? And then the second important word is enormous dynamism. Constitution has enormous dynamism. So what does this term enormous dynamism basically signify? It signifies that the constitution can respond to wide range of social, political, and economic changes, right? Plus, the constitution is made for a progressive society. The Constitution of India was not only designed for the society of 1950, it is able to adapt itself to new set of values, new set of challenges, and new set of societal dynamics, right? So it is a document for progressive development of the nation. So that is what is being highlighted in the context. Now that is the introduction, that is the idea that you need to summarize here. Now moving on to your body. Right. Before moving on to the body, I just want to bring this to your attention that you have to take into consideration the context along with the question. So the context is hinting towards dynamism, living instrument, and progressive society. If you look at Article 21, it has evolved over the years because of judiciary's role. Judiciary has played a very proactive role as far as the expansion of the rights under Article 21 is concerned. So today we can say that Article 21 incorporates the entire gamut of rights that we enjoy, right? Bulk of the human rights that you enjoy are located in Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. But not all judgments are important, right? So you have to take into consideration those landmark judgments which have expanded Article 21 according to progressive changes in the society, right, which has ensured which characterizes that which has ensured that the constitution is live up to changing societal dynamics, right? So that you need to keep in mind when you are quoting judgments in this particular question. Judgments are a very important aspect in this particular answer, right, that you are going to write. Now, moving on, so how would we proceed with the body? Now, we have already written the summary in the introduction. It would be a good practice to highlight that what features of the constitution ensure this dynamism, right? So dynamism in the constitution is a small part that you should address, the link between introduction and the main body, right? How the Indian Constitution is it is a very dynamic document, how it is evolving, how it is an organic document, changing needs of the society, right? So the very first feature is the amendability. Amendability under Article 368 of the Constitution. So the dynamic nature of the Constitution is reflected through the amendability of the Constitution under Article 368. Certain features of the Constitution, they can be amended by a simple majority, whereas certain features where the states also are stakeholders require a special kind of a majority, right? So the amending feature of the Constitution is both rigid and flexible, right? So this amendability, this blend of flexibility and rigidity in the Constitution of India has ensured that it can change with changing times, simultaneously keep certain basic values intact, right? Basic features intact. The next important point is fundamental rights. Right. So the fundamental rights under Part 3 of the Constitution, they are all inclusive and they have expanded according to changing needs and times of the society. If you look at Articles 15, 16, 19, 21, most of the expansion has happened across these articles within Part 3, right? So the fundamental rights have also changed because of the role of judiciary to include the changing needs of the society, the needs which reflects the aspirations of the people, right? So that is another important point. The next important point is harmonious construction. Right. So the judiciary has ensured that it will apply the doctrine of harmonious construction to construe any conflict between fundamental rights and DPSPs. This was decided in Minerva Mills case, right? Which again has ensured that certain directive principles can be implemented by the state without any restrictions placed by fundamental rights, right? The next important point that you can note here is judicial review. The power of judicial review to the court ensures that the courts can basically review any actions of the executive and legislature. So whatever actions of the executive or legislature are not according to the needs of the society, the values, or are in conflict with fundamental rights, right, or the changing nature of rights that the judiciary has already pronounced, the court can declare them ultra vires of the constitution, or declare them null and void, right? And then the role of PIL has also been very important as far as the evolution of rights is concerned. So all these things you can note about PIL. So all these things has ensured that the constitution is a very dynamic document, right? So this is a very small part. The next important and the major part in the body is different verdicts. You have to give different verdicts through which the Article 21 right to life and personal liberty has basically expanded. So we will create another heading, expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty, right? So this is your heading for the main part, the main body, and here you have to take recourse to various judgments. So the very first the judgment that you can quote is the Menka Gandhi versus Union of India. Right. So Menka Gandhi versus Union of India is a landmark judgment where Supreme Court interpreted that right to life under Article 21, it doesn't mean a mere human existence, but also incorporates right to life with a dignity. Right. So if you know, now this particular case is very important because it marked a shift in court's interpretation of procedure established by law under the Indian Constitution, which in earlier judgments like A.K. Roy versus Union of India or ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla has been very narrow, right? So this particular case, it marked a shift in court's understanding of procedure established by law under Article 21, and the court emphasized that not just the process, the reasonability of law is also very important, right? So in this particular case, the court argued about reasonability or rational, right? Reasonability or rationale of the law. The court said that the procedure that has been applied must be free from arbitrariness and irrationality, right? So the legislature or the executive cannot come with irrational, arbitrary laws, right? It should comply with the rational, and it should pass the test laid under Articles 14, 19 and 21 of the Constitution. The next particular case that you can cite here, it's a very famous case, Hussain Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar. Hussain Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar. Now, it's a very important case. If you read about PILs also, it was perhaps one of the first cases in the which basically led to application of PILs in India. So in this particular case, the Supreme Court upheld that although right to speedy trial is not explicitly listed as a fundamental right, it is inherent in the broad scope of Article 21. So this particular judgment, it ensured right to speedy trial. India has a big problem of under trials, and in this particular case, more than 40,000 under trials were freed because of a piece of editorial by Indian Express, right, which was taken as a basis for PIL, right. The next important case is Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation, BMC. Right. So this particular judgment, again, it included right to livelihood. It included right to livelihood as an important component of fundamental right under Article 21. Right. The next important case that you can quote here is Bandhua Mukti Morcha. Bandhwa Mukti Morcha versus state of UP. Right. So this was again a case of children's being employed in the carpet industry. And in this particular judgment, Bandhwa Mukti Morcha, the court characterized Article 21 as a source of various important fundamental rights. And the court also highlighted that Article 21 derives its life and breath from various DPSP provisions like 39, 41, 42. And the courts basically, in this particular judgment, said that right to life with human dignity of workers' children is very important component under Article 21. So this is again a very important judgment for the expansion of Article 21. Right. The next important case that we'll discuss is Parmanand Katara versus Union of India. Parmanand Katara versus Union of India. So this again is a landmark judgment, and it made right to health and medical assistance a very important component of right to life under Article 21. Right. So in this particular case, the judiciary basically said that any person who is in need in the golden hour, it is mandatory for the health professionals to tend to them without thinking of any law or legal repercussions. Right. So this is again a very important judgment that you can quote. The next important case that you can quote here is MC Mehta versus Union of India and Satish Kumar versus State of Bihar. There are various cases, right? So the Supreme Court, through these important judgments, has read right to clean environment as a fundamental right under Article 21. And if you look the entire rubric of environmental jurisprudence in India has been because of reading of right to clean environment as a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. Right. So this again is a very important judgment. The next important judgment that we need to discuss is K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. So in K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, it is a very landmark judgment where the judiciary provided for right to privacy. Right to privacy. So based on changing needs of the society, the judiciary complied with this new concept of privacy, and it located this privacy in Article 14, 19, and in particular Article 21 of the Constitution. Right. So this again expanded the scope of Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, and it's a very recent judgment. Right. The next important judgment that you can quote is the next important judgment that we can quote is Common Cause versus Union of India. Right. So in this particular judgment, Common Cause versus Union of India, the Supreme Court understood and accepted that right to life also holds a person's right to die with dignity. See, it's not right to die, but right to die with dignity. So the courts took into consideration that yes, right to life also includes right to die with dignity, and therefore in this particular case allowed for passive euthanasia. Right. So this again is a landmark judgment. The next important judgment that you can quote here is Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India. So this again is a landmark judgment where the court also included the rights and liberties. So this judgment followed after the Nalsa judgment, the Puttaswamy judgment. The courts read them together and basically granted that yes, even the LGBTQ people in India have rights, they have this privacy, right? So the courts decriminalized section 377 of the Constitution. So it was a shift from Victorian morality to modern morality, right? So the court recognized some of the rights, right to privacy of LGBTQ people. It decriminalized 377, right, of IPC. In this particular judgment, right? So these are some of the important landmark judgments that you can quote in this particular answer. I have given you quite a few. You can quote 5 to 6, which would be sufficient in this particular answer, or at max 7, right? Now moving on, how would you conclude this particular question? So the conclusion in this particular answer that you have written would be a summary of what you have stated in the answer, right? So how to conclude? So you have to basically write the idea that is ingrained in the question itself, that you validated in the body of your answer. So the Constitution of India, it is a dynamic document, right? So Constitution, we have shown that Constitution is a dynamic document with global features, and it has a very inclusive nature and adapts to the changing natures and changing values in the society, right? The role of the higher judiciary has been very crucial in acknowledging these societal changes and expanding the horizons of the Constitution, ensuring that it is an organic document, it is a living document, right, which would meet the requirements of the society in the coming times. Okay, so that is how you will conclude this particular answer. It should be a basic summary. It shouldn't be something that you should rigidly prepare. Just an idea of how would you summarize this particular answer. So if you have liked the discussion today, I am sure you can definitely, you should comment on how we can improve this program, right, in the comment section. And if you like this discussion, please share it with your peers, right? And also please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you.